Hello. Today we'll talk about Microsoft Graph. We have this forked repository, which is forked from the sample, which is the Angular Microsoft Graph Connect sample, which is you can find here. Basically, the sample is just sending an email, so you connect your Angular app to your Office 365, and then it uses the Graph API to send an email. So this time we had a different approach. So we fork this repository and we create a console for Microsoft Graph that you can play around and try all the possible operations. What you need is to set up a Azure application, Azure Active Directory application. So here within the applications I have filtering here with the applications my company owns, and this is the app I'm using. So if you click on configure, you can change the name of the app, you can change the icon, and if it's a multi-tenant or not. So it can be used only within your tenant, or other users within the other tenant can use this app as well. And here you can find the reply URL, and this is the app ID URL, which is I'm using my tenant, and then I'm using the name of the app, and here it will verify because this is a unique, should be a unique ID. That's why it's always a good idea to add your tenant as a prefix. And here's the permissions. Here we're focusing on the Microsoft Graph and focusing on the delegate permission. We don't have any app only permission. So here I'm just selecting read user profile, sign in, and I can actually read the user calendar as well. Let's read user email and read user contact. Let's save here. So now I'm updating the application permissions. So if we go to the code, it's basically the same code. I just added a JSON formatter module and some other artifacts. So if we go to the main view, I'll just add a navigation to the left, which is load from this data operations. This is the operation. So we have a navigation tree. The root is the API reference. We have the version 1. Under that we have user. This is simulates what Microsoft have as in the graph.microsoft.io. So the same structure here when we go to the documentation. It simulates this one. So we have version 1 and the beta versions. We have users, and then we have user, and then we have list user. So let's go back to, this is the app. If I want to run it, I simply run node server.js, and in the server configuration here I have the port I'm listening to, which is 8080. Hence here within the app I have the 8080 as a reply URL. So when I'm doing login, like let's disconnect here, when I'm logging in, it sends the redirect URL as a parameter. So because I stopped the server, let's run the server again. So now it's listening to the port. Yep. So now I can connect. And this is the client ID of the app I'm using. Here it asks you to log in. I'm logging in, and here it is. So click on list users and execute. It will, as we can see from the indication here, it will load the users. I have only a single user in this tenant. I can use the beta version, which will give me more data than this. So if I execute the beta version, it'll give me other data here. Let's change a little bit. Let's go to the Graph API and let's see if I want to list messages, for example. It takes user and then me messages, for example. So if we add an operation called list my messages under here, so we can add under the user, this list user, and we can add also another operation here, which is basically have a name of mail, and have child nodes, which is an array of objects. Each object will have a name as well. Let's say list messages, and have a URL, which is the URL that we got already here. So of course I don't need that, I just need me messages. And the method is get, and version is 1.0, and there is no data because it's a get. So let's list my messages. Let's save. So if we go to our console here and refresh, so here we have mail, list my messages, which is me messages. Let's execute. And here I have messages. So if I give you the 10 by default, so this is even the body previews here, all the data, so it comes in handy if I'm executing this, what are the data are retrieved within the value object. So if I select the beta version and then execute, also 10 objects will return, and I'm not sure if it's different than the version 1 or not. So but now we can easily check that we added a new operation, it got picked up and executed successfully. So thing is, we need to complete this operations.json to have all the possible operations. The other thing to make sure that if you're using a post, which is for example create users, will be a post, and this will fail because it has no privilege to create users. So you need to I will advise you guys to use the get only, which is read only, and you can use the same application Azure AD app, which has this client ID. If you want to have a play around and do the full control operations contains the put and also post operations, which is update and create. You can create your own Active Directory app and then supply here the client ID, and make sure that wherever you host this is added as a redirectory URL here. So it's just a quick overview of Microsoft Graph. How can we play around with it? I hope you enjoyed the video.